The Champions League quarter-final draw has come out like this. It is Manchester City against Borussia Dortmund, Porto against Chelsea, Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain, and Real Madrid against Liverpool. Wow. So that's that. Mark Langdon is with us, our European football expert. Big Bob and Perry are reacting as well. Mr. Groves, I'll throw this straight at you. What's the standout? First off, City Dortmund. What's your take on that?
Goals all and the away goals rule. You know, when people said, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't use it this year because they're playing in neutral stadiums," that might come into play on that one. We said about when Porto got drawn. We said, didn't we? Said that'll be Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because when things are,
if you like to go and you like,
when things are going for you, that's and being away from home first. So Thomas Tuchel, he can't do anything wrong at the moment, can he? Yeah. He's even coming out top in draws, let alone going 13 unbeaten. So that we thought that would be a nap randomly. And
Bayern Munich against PSG,
and then
and Real Madrid
against Liverpool.
I mean, but Mark, what kind of Real Madrid are Liverpool going to be meeting, do you think?
Yeah, I think with Real Madrid, you have to play the sort of the team rather than the name, because the current team isn't as good as sort of the grand history of the club. There's no doubt about that. The midfield is still the same three: Kroos, Modric, Casemiro. It's a good and very experienced midfield, but it's been around for a long time, and it's certainly not getting any better. Eden Hazard is just constantly injured, so they've been unable to get sort of their main man firing. Everything going forward relies on Karim Benzema, who has stepped up brilliantly, it has to be said. But this Real Madrid team is not as good as the Real Madrid team that beat Liverpool in that final a couple of years ago. That's for sure.
Okay.
And,
okay.
It's not a brilliant draw, but it's not the worst one either.
Mike said about the draw, Man City against Dortmund, that would be okay, but Pep Guardiola was brought to Man City to win the Champions League, and then in the semi-finals they play the winners of Bayern Munich or PSG. So that's not great for them, is it?
It's not, no. The quarter-final draw I thought was okay against Dortmund, and then when you saw it was Bayern or Paris waiting potentially in the semi-final, that is not the nicest. Could be a great reunion for Pep against his former club, but I still think that City are the best team in Europe this season. Doesn't always mean that the best team wins the Champions League. And I think Bayern versus Paris is the one that really stands out in that quarter-final, because you mentioned, Perry, about Pep being brought to Man City to win the Champions League. Paris Saint-Germain's whole year rests on them sort of making their mark in Europe, and they always seem to get these tough draws. Barcelona in the last 16, Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals, maybe Man City in the semi-finals. Mauricio Pochettino will be wondering what he's done wrong, really.
When you look at the semi-final draw, Bob, they advance who's going to face who in the semis. So it's Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain against Manchester City or Dortmund. And then when you look at the other tie, Real Madrid or Liverpool will face Porto or Chelsea. I tell you what, we could have a repeat of the semi-final from years ago, Liverpool-Chelsea. If the two English clubs see off Real Madrid and Porto, Mark, that's mouth-watering, isn't it? We could have Liverpool against Chelsea.
It really could, and another sort of Tuchel against Jurgen Klopp battle. I think Chelsea will come through against Porto. Porto have got a couple of players suspended for that first leg at home, Sergio Oliveira and Taremi, who picked up the red card in Turin. So a really good opportunity there for Chelsea. A season that didn't look that great a couple of months ago, all of a sudden, it really has opened up for them, both domestically in terms of maybe FA Cup and finishing in the top four. But the Champions League now, you can see a path for them. They've already been to Anfield and won recently. They wouldn't fear Real Madrid if they get past Porto either.
I think you mentioned, obviously, Porto, good draw for Chelsea, but they can't be too complacent, Mark, because at home in Europe, Porto are very strong. They're good defensively, aren't they?
They are, and they even managed to keep a clean sheet against Manchester City. Pepe, the veteran centre-back.
He'll get sent off.
I mean, he was brilliant in that game against Juventus when they were down to 10 men. I mean, he's obviously past his best to some extent, but he's still a very good and very wise defender. They've got options on the counter. Somebody like Jesus Corona is somebody that can cause Chelsea one or two problems, but I haven't seen anybody cause problems for Chelsea defensively since Tuchel went there. He seems to have completely shut the opposition down. So unlikely to be a high-scoring game. Two teams very good defensively, but you would fancy Chelsea, I think.
Liverpool fans are liking it. They're liking it. I think that's the toughest one to call, actually, Mark. Liverpool against Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. Do you? Is that the toughest one to call?
I think it is. I would say if Liverpool had their defenders available, I would fancy them quite strongly to go through. But you have got to be wary, if it's Kabak and Phillips, it is, several steps below what they would like to put out in a Champions League quarter-final. But this Real Madrid team, I mentioned it a couple of minutes ago, but nowhere near as strong. They've had a lot of injuries all over the pitch this season. And outside of Benzema, they haven't really got that many goal threats. And it normally comes from like a set piece, a Casemiro or Ramos from a corner. So from open play, it's nowhere near as frightening a Real Madrid team as what it was a few years ago when they had, Cristiano Ronaldo and, Bale at his peak as well. So it's not an amazing draw, but I still think Liverpool got a decent chance of going through.
Well, this is how it came out a few moments ago. The Champions League quarter-final draw is Manchester City against Borussia Dortmund, Porto against Chelsea, Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain, and Real Madrid against Liverpool. The first legs to be played 6th and 7th of April. The second legs to be played the 13th, 14th of April. And then the semi-final draw came out like this. Bayern Munich, or PSG, against Manchester City or Borussia Dortmund. And it's Real Madrid or Liverpool against Porto or Chelsea. And of course, that potentially could see a Liverpool-Chelsea semi-final, which would be mouth-watering.